You ever have a movie mess you up for life? Like, you see it once, and suddenly swimming in the ocean just feels different. You're not just worried about the waves or the sun, you're scanning the water for fins, your brain playing the theme on loop. Yeah, that's Jaws. This movie straight up rewired people. It made an entire generation afraid to go in the water. Hell, it made me obsessed with shark movies for the rest of my life. I wouldn't even be sitting here talking to you if Jaws and Deep Blue Sea hadn't gotten their teeth into me. But here's the thing. Jaws isn't just some fun, scary shark flick. It's a damn masterpiece. Like, actually perfect. And I don't throw that word around lightly. And now that it's turning 50 years old, yeah, 50, I figured it's time to give this the proper love it deserves. Because not only is Jaws still terrifying, still tense, and still endlessly rewatchable, it's also one of the most brilliantly made movies in the history of cinema. Period. Let's break down why Jaws still works 5 decades later and why it remains the gold standard for shark horror. So the first thing we have to talk about, the thing that pretty much every Jaws fan brings up at some point, is the shark. Or more specifically, how little we actually see of it. Yeah, we all know the behind the scenes story. The animatronic shark, nicknamed Bruce, was a mechanical nightmare. It broke down constantly, it barely worked, and Spielberg and the crew had to shoot around it. But you know what? That limitation, it's probably the best thing that ever happened to this movie. Because not showing the shark, letting it stay hidden in the water, making the audience feel its presence without actually seeing it, it cranks the tension through the roof. You never know when it's going to strike. Every ripple in the water becomes a threat. Every swimmer becomes potential bait.
Slow ahead. I can go slow ahead. Come on down and chum some of this shit.
It's a perfect example of the old filmmaking rule. What you don't see is scarier than what you do. If we had gotten a full CGI monster chomping through the scene every 10 minutes, it wouldn't have hit the same. The slow build, the anticipation, that feeling that something's out there, watching, it's primal. It taps into some deep fear. Spielberg turned a busted robot into a masterclass in suspense.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Okay, let's talk pacing. Jaws is one of those rare movies that never wastes a single scene. Like, seriously, go back and watch it with a timer if you want. Every moment either builds the characters, tightens the suspense, or moves the plot forward. There's no filler. It's got that perfect 3-act structure. The first act gives us the setup, the beach town, the shark attacks, the denial. The second act escalates it. The body count rises, panic sets in, Brody tries to take control. And then the third act, when they're out on the boat, pure cinematic gold. The shift from land to sea is such a bold move, it almost feels like the movie becomes a different genre for the final stretch. It goes from a thriller to this claustrophobic ocean-bound survival story. And yet it flows so naturally. You never feel the gears grinding. That's the beauty of the pacing. It's always moving, but you never feel rushed. And when the action does hit, it hits hard. But Spielberg earns those moments. He doesn't jump scare you every 5 minutes. He lets the tension simmer, slow and steady, until you're basically begging for a release.
So, 1,100 men went in the war. 316 men come out. The Sharks took the rest June the 29th, 1945.
Let's give it up for the cast. I mean, come on. Roy Schneider as Chief Brody. Absolute legend. He's the everyman thrown into a nightmare. He's not a superhero. He's not some macho alpha. He's just a dude trying to protect his town and his family. And you feel that. You believe him. Every twitch, every worried glance, every panicked shout. He sells it. Richard Dreyfuss as Hooper, instantly likable. He comes off as a nerdy marine biologist, but has a real edge. He's funny, he's smart, and he's got great chemistry with the rest of the crew. And then there's Robert Shaw as Quint. My God, what a performance. That man chews through every scene he's in. Gruff, intense, and weirdly poetic. And of course we gotta talk about the Indianapolis monologue.
You were on the Indianapolis?
What happened? Japanese submarine slammed 2 torpedoes into our side, Chief.
It's one of the greatest scenes ever put to film. He's sitting there in his tiny boat, telling a story about being stranded in the water with sharks, circling for days, no music, no flashbacks, just his voice. And it has me hanging on every word. It's haunting. It gives Jaws a kind of mythic weight. Like, this isn't just a shark problem. It's a confrontation with nature, with trauma, and with death itself. This trio, Brody, Hooper, and Quint, they're so different, but they bounce off each other perfectly. That dynamic makes the third act. You could watch these three argue on a boat for hours and never get bored. And let's take a moment to bow down to the king, John Williams. Because yeah, Jaws without the score, it's not the same movie. You know the one I'm talking about. The iconic two notes. Just two. That's it. And yet somehow that little musical motif might be the most recognizable piece of film music ever. It's become shorthand for danger, for something lurking just out of sight, for pure creeping terror. It's genius in its simplicity. It builds tension even when nothing's happening on screen. And when the music stops, that's when you really start to sweat. And the rest of the score? Criminally underrated. The adventure vibes during the boat scenes, the sweeping, almost heroic moments. Williams brings so much heart and so much emotion to this movie. It's not just scary, it's cinematic. There's a reason Spielberg once said, John Williams is the reason Jaws works. The man understood the assignment and delivered. Let's talk about the guy behind the camera, Steven freaking Spielberg. This was his second feature film. He was 26, and somehow he directed Jaws like he'd been doing this for decades. The vision, the control, the confidence. It's kind of ridiculous. He makes that ocean feel endless. He makes the town feel real. He gets natural, grounded performances from every actor. And his visual instincts, they're next level. That classic dolly zoom on Brody at the beach, the underwater POV shots, the use of silence, the sound design, and the reaction shots. It's all masterfully done. And don't forget, this shoot was a disaster. Over budget, behind schedule, and constant malfunctions. Most directors would have cracked. Spielberg came out with one of the greatest films ever made. Jaws was forged in fire, and somehow all that chaos made it stronger. You want to know why Jaws still holds up? Because it's real. Okay, not the shark obviously, but the way it was shot, the practical effects, the physicality, the commitment to doing things in camera. It makes all the difference. Compare it to modern shark movies that rely on digital everything. You can feel the difference. There's weight to the shark in Jaws. It moves through real water. It interacts with real objects. Even when it looks a little fake, it feels grounded. There's something so tactile about it. You feel like you're there. You're on that boat. You're in that ocean. You're being hunted by a thing that's actually there with you. And again, it goes back to what Spielberg does best. Make it believable. We can't ignore the cultural impact here. Before Jaws, sharks weren't really seen as villains. They were just part of the ocean. After Jaws, they became stuff of nightmares. It changed everything. Summer blockbusters, animal horror, ocean conservation, even beach attendance. People were legit scared to go swimming. Some still are. And yeah, it kicked off decades of shark movies trying to capture that same magic. Deep Blue Sea, The Meg, Sharknado, you name it. Some of them are great. Some of them are definitely not. But they all owe something to Jaws. It created a blueprint that filmmakers are still trying to follow. Keep it simple, build suspense, don't show the monster too early, and always, always have great characters. So here we are, 50 years later, a whole half century since a mechanical shark named Bruce made movie history. And somehow, it still works, still thrills, and still makes people jump. You watch it today, and it doesn't feel old. It feels alive and fresh. And that's the magic of Jaws. It taps into something universal. The fear of the unknown, the tension of survival, the beauty of storytelling that trusts the audience. It's the kind of movie you can rewatch 100 times and still notice something new. A look, a sound cue, a detail in the background. And for me, it'll always be the movie that started it all, that sparked my love for sharks, for thrillers, for smart horror. Along with Deep Blue Sea, which yes, I will defend to the death, Jaws opened the floodgates. And I'm so glad it did. So yeah, Jaws is 50 years old, and it's still the GOAT. No shark movie has even come close to dethroning it. It's suspenseful, it's smart, it's brilliantly made, and somehow, a broken robot shark helped create a perfect film. What more could you ask for? If you haven't watched Jaws recently, do yourself a favor. Fire it up, turn off the lights, crank up the volume, and let it pull you under all over again. And hey, if you've got a favorite shark movie that deserves some love, drop it in the comments. Let's keep the shark movie obsession alive. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. And hey, 97% of you watching still aren't subscribed. So come join the fun and let's talk some movies. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.